Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome to Treasures from the Allis, the first of hopefully many episodes where Jade and I here take you through some of the treasures from the Allis Museum collection. You are the operations manager here, and you're in charge of a lot of that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the collections here?
Yeah, so this collection was gathered throughout a whole lifetime between Charles and Sarah Allis. So they actually didn't live in this home their whole life. So they collected and had things stored at the Pfister Hotel where they were staying until this home got built, and then they brought all of their collection here. And it spans regions from all over the world. Some items have been excavated, some have been sent to them, some they have direct correspondence with the dealers themselves, like Louis C. Tiffany. So it's really an eclectic collection, to say the least.
Definitely. So this house is what stores it. What year was the house built?
The house was built in 1911.
Mm-hmm.
So it was part of the prime industrial age of Milwaukee. So there were mansions going up all along Prospect Avenue, and this was just one of many.
Right, right. And so today our podcast is going to center around one specific piece from the collection. This one right here, 4 mallards flying over a marsh at twilight hour from 1914, is a piece from Bruno Ertz, and it is part of the Waves and Wings exhibition that is currently going on here at the museum. Would you tell us a little bit more about the exhibit?
Absolutely. So Waves and Wings was meant to sort of marry the contemporary exhibit with the historic exhibit on the second floor of the Allis. So on the first floor we have Bird Body, which is the contemporary exhibit that our previous artist in residence, Hattie Grimm, put together during her residency here in the studio space we have. And then the Waves and Wings exhibit kind of brings that together, and it allows the Allis collection to respond to the birds. And I find that really special and important because all throughout this collection there are many different kinds of like bird emblems and bird symbolisms in many different pieces, from tile treves to 17th century vases. So if there's one thing that the Allis family loved in their collection, it was animals.
Definitely, I think those are very popular icons in culture throughout many different cultures, and we'll get into some of the symbolism behind that later when we're talking about the painting. But let's jump right into starting with the biography of Bruno Ertz. He was born in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, to 2 German immigrants in 1873. Similar story to many people here in Wisconsin. A big event in his artwork life was that he was gifted a watercolor set for Christmas when he was 13 years old. During his childhood and young adulthood, he had worked in a couple different places, from factories to shipyards, until about the age of 15, where he decided to pursue art full-time. And one of the big motivations from this was some accreditation that he received from the Smithsonian. Bruno had sent some of his paintings in, and in response, it says here that F.H. Crittenden responded in a letter that said, "We all think the paintings are the finest of their sort that have ever been produced in this country," which, if I received a letter like that from the Smithsonian, I think I would be pretty inclined to keep doing artwork for livelihood. But from Manitowoc, he spent some time in Milwaukee, started a studio here in 1890. He still opened an art studio with Frank Bessler, a fellow painter here, in 1892. This was actually at the Iron Block building, which is over on Wisconsin Avenue, which we were just talking about the Allis collection and how it wasn't always housed here. Just 3 blocks west from the studio that Bruno Ertz was in was the Pfister Hotel, which is where the Allis family had stored a lot of their collection before this house was built to keep it. Ertz moved around quite a bit in his early career, going back and forth quite a bit, but just to get all the details in here, he spent 2 years in Detroit, Michigan with Percy Cuthbert Nash, and they did a lot of portraiture, a very common way for artists to make money at the time, and moved back to Milwaukee again, then went to Manitowoc, where he was from, and then moved to Milwaukee once again during the Great Depression, where he spent a good chunk of time here, and he worked for the Public Art Museum. And he specifically worked on the federal art project, we know that for sure. We're not too sure exactly what he was doing and what his role was in that, but I do have some information here about the project in general. It started in 1935 and spanned to 1943. The FAP was part of the New Deal during the Depression, and the purpose of it was to employ out-of-work artists nationwide, and their goal was to just pay people to produce pieces of visual art. The Work Progress Administration, which was kind of the next step up from the FAP, collaborated with over 100 art centers across the country, including the Milwaukee Public Museum. And it resulted in the creation of over 400,000 pieces of vastly different subject matters and materials. And the surprising thing about the program was that there was no restriction of content. Artists were given mostly free rein to do whatever they wanted, which is very progressive and interesting, especially for that time. And a side piece of that is it also helped a lot of new art styles to become more popular. At the time, abstract art had started to make an appearance, but it wasn't necessarily accepted widely, and so the Federal Art Project gave opportunities to a lot of these newer abstract artists, such as Jackson Pollock, to start creating works, and then he found a lot of popularity through that, like many other artists, which really kickstarted their careers.
And just to kind of piggyback off that, I know during that time for Milwaukee specifically, that was a time of a socialist revolution. So Milwaukee was paving the way to have different socialist measures be finally taken seriously with the first socialist mayor. And this paved the way for a lot of different cities to adopt similar ways of caring for their communities. So. And one of the ways is supporting artists.
Definitely. But let's get into this specific piece. As I mentioned earlier, the title is Four Mallard Ducks Flying Over Marsh at Twilight Hour from 1914. And I guess just to start off in just a few words, how does this piece make you feel?
It makes me feel movement, serene. It makes me feel contemplative, and those are just what comes right off the top of my head. That I really feel like I can picture myself sitting on a bench right here and watching this happen. Yeah.
Definitely. Very calming, very soothing, kind of almost like an exhale, just a deep sigh out. To get more into the specifics of the painting, we have the four mallards, a female based on their coloration. They are all flying towards our viewer, which, as you mentioned earlier, kind of represents the motion, brings that into the painting. As far as the weather goes, the sky is colorful in the background here, but there is a slight fog over the marsh, makes it just a bit hazy, and the water is completely still. And do we know anything about this frame and how it came to the collection? Anything about the matting, that information?
Yeah, so we know that this is not the original frame or the original matting. It was Viola Ertz Kettner, one of Bruno's daughters, that requested that these paintings in the Allis collection by Bruno Ertz be reframed with silver leaf, and to have silk and professional matting done throughout the framing here with local Milwaukee framers and paper restorers. So to keep it in Milwaukee, keep it in the city where he worked and where he sold a lot of his paintings. So yeah, we can thank Bruno's daughter for that one. In 1985.
It looks very nice. I really enjoy the way that the silver, and I guess you would describe it as maybe a periwinkle, complements the colors of the painting. Very cohesive, really brings it together in a way that just makes it feel complete. As far as symbolism for the painting goes, we don't know a whole lot about Bruno Ertz or his painting specifically, so it's hard to determine the exact intentions of the artist when making this painting. But just bringing up other people's ideas of symbolism, different aspects, color, things that we use to analyze artwork can help us add our own meaning to the painting and derive what we would like out of that. And again, there is a chance that maybe this didn't have a whole lot of meaning. It was just something that Bruno Ertz wanted to show a part of his life. It was a scene that he saw regularly, and it was just important and special to him in some way that he wanted to convey that as flat out or as accurately as he could. But we can go beyond that. We can talk a little bit more about the mallard duck specifically. They have some different meanings associated with different cultures, as Bruno Ertz is a German immigrant or descendant of one. And so I looked mostly into more Western cultures as far as their meaning with it. One of the biggest things that came up was about balance and harmony. Ducks are both creatures of the water and the sky. They can survive and thrive in either, which shows great adaptability, some resilience, and so they are seen kind of as a creature, a go-between two different worlds, bringing them together. There is also an aspect of renewal. They are often renowned as harbingers of springtime, as they are birds of migration, and they bring warmth after a long winter, which is definitely something that applies to Wisconsin. And again, resilience. They are able to adapt to their environment and whatever changes it brings. Again, both land and water, so they are a symbol of adaptability as well. So kind of considering all of this, of the symbolism of the ducks, of the different weather conditions, I guess, do you have any more thoughts now that we've discussed it on the painting and what its meaning either to Bruno or to you personally might be?
Yeah, so one thing that I didn't really notice until I actually took some time with the painting is that right here, you can notice kind of a bend in the water. So I'm imagining these ducks came from around this bend, something spooked them, something made them fly away, something caused them to leave for whatever reason. And I'm imagining that they came around this bend and that they're flying this way, either towards some safety over here, or perhaps their home, perhaps to find a mate, perhaps to find ducklings, we don't know, but I can only assume that they flew off from around this bend here that you can see because of the depth that was added in his watercolor technique. Another really beautiful piece in this artwork that I noticed is the reflection of these cattails here and how it's almost non-differential from the ones above water, but you can see just barely that difference in the lapping of the waves through the reflection here. So those aspects of the painting, I think, really capture it and really make it feel in the moment. And I absolutely appreciate that about him.
Absolutely, that is a great analysis. I definitely see all of the subtleties in the work. Maybe if you would like to stop by the Allis, you can witness it in person and get a really close look at it, but there are quite a few subtleties. I imagine it took a lot of time, many different layers of watercolor, but there is such a great reflection of both the cattails in the foreground and the sky in the background. I can kind of see where you're coming from about the escaping something potentially dangerous or startling. I'd say for me personally, I see this piece as the feelings that are invoked when one looks at a sunset, which is usually peaceful end to the day. What might have been hectic or stressful, just hardships that we deal with, you bring it around the bend and you get to witness the beautiful sky at the end of the night. I especially think that the Midwest has such beautiful sunsets, definitely underrated. I mean, I'm sure the West Coast with the sun going down, the ocean is lovely, but there's truly something beautiful about the Midwestern feel, the slight colors in the sky, the cloudiness to it all, just brings you a semblance of peace at the end of the day, which again, I kind of said earlier, this might have just been a scene that Bruno himself witnessed in real life and wanted to portray, but along with that experience goes the emotions. Kind of like I said, that deep exhale at the end of the day when you know it's over And finally, things start to click together, make more sense than maybe it did before.
Mm-hmm.
And also the promise of a night and then a new day.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So something really interesting about the exhibit here, if you listeners were lucky enough to come and see it while it was going on, was that our artist in residence, Hattie Grimm, one of her ideas was to incorporate personal experiences from the viewers. She left a journal out in the French parlor right next door to the library here, which gave people the opportunity to leave some of their own stories regarding birds and their experiences with that. So we are going to read some of the bird stories that were submitted to us. Do you want to take the first one here?
Sure. So the first story we have. My kitchen table growing up faced our porch door. If I sat at the head, I had the best view of the woods behind our house. When I ate breakfast, I would search the trees for critters. My mom always said red birds were good luck, so I always made a wish when I saw them. Robins are one of my favorite birds to this day. Anonymous.
Very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So again, calm and serene. I think we've all had the experience of maybe visiting a grandparent's house or getting a bit out into nature, especially if there's a bird feeder. It's just so calm to sit there on a Sunday morning with a cup of coffee in hand and just watch the birds come and go.
Mm-hmm. And especially if you're from Wisconsin, you know robins when you see them and you love them.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Do you have a favorite bird by chance?
I've always been drawn to hummingbirds. I haven't myself put up a hummingbird feeder, so I think it makes it that more magical when I'm around somebody who does have a hummingbird feeder or somewhere in nature where it happens to pop out in the wild. Hummingbirds have always been so magical to me. They're one step off from fairies.
Yes.
So I love a hummingbird.
I can see that. They are truly magical, especially like you said, if you don't have a feeder out and you just happen to stop by one, or if one graces you with its presence, it's truly a lucky day.
Isn't it?
Something just so novel about something different than ourselves that really brings out a different side of us that maybe we didn't know was there before. Which kind of segues into the next story we have from Linnea here. She says, barn swallows are pure electricity, the way your eye can't catch them, the way they dip and dive with such small, infinite strength. It singes my heart knowing with the climate crisis, many of these birds have to fight harder to survive. Again, reminding us of our own privilege in this life. At the same time, fighting similar battles, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, the need to, the inherent need to migrate. These birds don't have a choice. The climate crisis was a choice. So it's a consequence that they don't deserve. The next one here is another anonymous one. When I hear the call of a bird in flight, I wonder who it may be calling to, or perhaps it is simply saying, I am here now, watch me soar. Another thing about birds, completely unapologetic, completely.
That one in particular is moving. Maybe I'll put an image of it up in post, but they have the little doodle that went along with it that gave it more structure to the poem, made it much more impactful. You see, our next one here is from Anonymous. My bird was born wingless. They only learned to fly by too much learning and suffering. But now they have flown for the first time, and they're going to fly again. It's scary, but they're being brave, and their wings just keep beating.
That one gave me chills too. I love that when you turn birds into a poetic meaning that you can actually connect with and help uplift you is so powerful, and it's definitely an amazing perspective.
Again, going back to that idea of resilience to these birds. Not just the choice to survive, but the necessity of it. They have no other choice. The next one we have is from Junie S. I lost my closest grandma only 2 years ago. It hit pretty hard. I think about her really often. But lately I find comfort in the mourning doves. Fitting right. They remind me of living with her. I would hear them crying every single day while I climbed pines in her backyard. That one is so sweet. Mourning doves are probably my favorite bird, very near and dear to my heart. My own bird story is this summer I found out that they have more than one call, which, I mean, I kind of assumed most species of birds have more than one call, but really with the mourning doves, you only ever hear the quick coo, 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 which is what we commonly associate them with. But there was one right outside my house that every morning would give a deep coo. And I looked it up. That is apparently the call that they make when they have either lost their flock or lost their nest or just are lonely. And the thought that a bird had a specific call for when it was alone really broke my heart.
Yeah.
I was mourning that dove for quite a while.
Oh, I'm sure. And I mean, the name is just so fitting for that kind of call that they, it's indescribable. I mean, you know it when you hear it, without a doubt. So special. I can get reading this next one, also by Anonymous. My amazing story occurred on a hike and drive in Horicon Marsh. Near the end of our day, a cold, misty drizzle came as we were walking out on the boardwalk to a viewing stand. Suddenly, just to our right, a pair of rare cranes flew closely past while coming in for a landing. A once in a lifetime. I felt awe and privilege. I think I remember when that happened. There were, I think they must have been, it was a pink flamingo type of bird. It was some type of pink bird, but I remember, and I mean, more and more as the years go on, we're seeing rare birds pop up along Lake Michigan. We're seeing rare seagulls. We're seeing even rare birds that exist along the riverfront. And it is such a rare and magical thing. Anonymous got to see it.
Yeah. I hope nature is starting to make its comeback.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Did you hear about what just happened in the Horicon Marsh? 2 men dumped a bunch of liquid mercury into the marsh. Yeah. Super villains.
Very much so. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, mercury is like a tale as old as time. You know that that's bad, the worst.
Right. And it's not even like what we usually hear is large corporations maybe just not wanting to pay to dump the materials properly. And I think this, from what I remember, was a similar situation, but it was mostly just the act of 2 individuals just looking to get out of paying that price at the dump. So I guess the nature preserve was the next best place to do it.
Yeah, the consequences of that we probably won't see for years. That's definitely a word of advice.
Yeah.
Don't dump anything in your local marsh or wildlife. The animals will thank you, and you will probably thank yourself for potentially not getting a ticket. Because that's quite illegal.
Definitely.
And you wouldn't like if someone put mercury in your drinking water.
Right. It does affect the birds, but at the end of the day, it will also affect us as a species.
Exactly. On a lighter note, another bird occurrence, last night was a huge migration night for billions of birds going from the north to the south of the U.S. I know meteorologists were asking folks to turn off their lights, their outdoor lights at night last night, and it was recorded, I think it was over 1 billion birds migrated just last night. And that's just an ode to the birds and their gut instinct, carrying them through, and hopefully we can help them in little ways.
Yeah, again, the changing of the seasons. While ducks are seen as harbingers of the spring, really all migratory birds are symbols of the ever-moving wheel of the change of seasons, not just to winter to spring, but also summer to fall. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for fall personally.
I could go for pumpkin spice.
Right.
Dare I say it?
That brings us to our last bird story here. This one was particularly moving to me personally, as I can relate to the person who submitted it, who goes by the initials of BL. It reads, I was living in Italy and feeling very disconnected from the patriarchal culture, not fitting in as a queer, non-binary person. I started becoming friends with other outsiders in Florence, mostly refugees and asylum seekers. One day, I was sitting on the bridge with one of my friends, Stefan, when a group of teenage boys came stomping across the bridge, shouting and kicking at the pigeons. They were scared of it, and Stefan said something that changed my life. We are the pigeons. Pigeons are vermin, and yet they so closely resemble doves, just never treated as such. We are all worthy of love. We are all the pigeons. Deeply moving.
Deeply touching.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that one, I mean, to my core, pigeons have, they've always been overlooked, but the second that you take a moment to actually look at the colors and the detail in their feathers, I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Don't judge a book by its cover, because you dive a little deeper and you realize this is gorgeous, this has meaning, this has feelings, this has a purpose, and we all serve a purpose, and yeah, whether we know it or not, it's true.
Mm-hmm. We are all a piece to the puzzle, and if one of those pieces were not there, it would not be complete. The ecosystem needs every niche filled in order to survive and to thrive.
Yep.
Yes, we are all important. That is such a lovely message that I'm so glad was conveyed by pigeons. I also have a deep love of pigeons. I tend to stray towards the things that are considered ugly or unloved by typical standards. Just again, not judging the book by its cover. And also re-examining why we might think of something as ugly in the first place. What exactly makes it that? Which is an entire discussion on its own.
Maybe for the next episode.
Right, but I mean, getting into beauty and more visual things, we are going to move into some of the bird drawings that we have. Another idea of Hattie's here was to lead a little sketchbook for our lovely guests here to make your own bird body. And so I'll put some of the images up, but just going through some of these with you. I love this one. I saw quite a few phoenixes rising from the ashes. Lovely symbolism there.
Definitely.
This one in particular, I really appreciate the use of the different colors, and also the flames aren't too prevalent. It feels very cold and ashy.
Yeah, it's a very shadowy type of phoenix, but I love the detail in the wings.
Absolutely. Very beautiful. I believe this one was submitted anonymously. Some of them were signed, some of them were not. Here's our next one, very fun, very playful. This one almost reminded me of like Sesame Street levels of just whimsy and joy.
Right, the beak is definitely super large and almost misformed in that way, but you know, it's opening its mouth to catch a fish there. And I mean, you can tell this person loves color.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them. It turned out beautifully.
It did, absolutely. And we have the fish here, little pieces of our ecosystem, our food web out in nature. To anyone who did participate in this activity, I wanted to personally thank you, as it was so entertaining to go through all of these and learn about the individual experiences. Made me feel very connected to the rest of the world and reminded me that we all have similar experiences, and there is always something that you can find in common with another person and relate to. There was one story in there about how you don't ever see just one bird. It was, you see every bird just through the one.
Like this one.
Yeah.
This one's got a lot going on. I love the pink. I love the star eyes. And I love the courage. There is no wrong move. There's a lot of uneven lines. There's a lot of different shapes going on. But at the end of the final product, you can see it's made a wonderful bird. Fantastic bird.
This artist did not hesitate to make a line, and I appreciate that.
Yep. Barn owls, I feel like are so mystical because you can never put your eyes on them. I feel like you're often hearing them and you're seeing them in photos, you're seeing them in paintings, but to actually lay eyes on one is quite a magical experience and very rare in and of itself as well.
Yeah. You always hear them.
Yeah. It's certainly one that you hear, and it's like, it's almost ghostly. The way that you can never quite catch it or witness it, but you can always hear it. Quite haunting.
Yeah. Barn owls especially, and all owls really do have that haunting nature that I associate with spooky things, Halloween, things that go bump in the night.
Yeah, nocturnal.
Exactly.
Owls and bats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little funny guy.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So that is the bird book.
That is the bird book, and again, thank you so much for filling it up to the point where it doesn't even really close.
It won't close. It's grew wings thanks to you, and decided to fly off. This exhibit is closing this weekend, so Doors Open Milwaukee is the last chance to view it, and then it'll be on to the next one.
Do we know what's coming up next? What's going on in the future here at the Allis?
Yeah, so the next exhibit that'll be opening will be October 30th. That is a Thursday, and that is called Bated Breath, Beyond the Pale. So there's going to be 3 artists, and we're going to be talking about what it means to be overlooked, judged, and how we use our emotions through creating and through also destroying. So there's going to be a lot of amazing artists, amazing pieces, October 30th.
Great, I personally cannot wait to see that. There is another exhibit currently open right now in our Great Hall, which was a later addition, not original to the mansion itself. The Human Condition, can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So Human Condition is a study of the body, and that is a community exhibit. So we put out a call for art, and we received many submissions from artists around the Milwaukee area, northern Milwaukee metro area, and we do have one artist from northern Illinois. So it's a study of the human body, so how our bodies express emotions, how we hold emotions, how those things change our body, and how our bodies inherently move and grow and change, and just how our emotions can affect us in good ways and bad.
Interesting. It is a very intimate experience that I quite enjoyed, especially that it is a community exhibit. There were many different aspects of the human experience that I got to explore through a variety of different mediums and styles. That was so fun to look at it and all come together and still have that cohesive theme. But again, with community, we are open to the community, and we would love to have you stop by. Our hours are currently Thursdays and Fridays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we're also open on Saturdays from noon until 4. And we have all of the information, the hours, admission prices, and discounts up on the website, which is charlesallis.org. If you'd like to go take a look, maybe plan your visit here. We would love to see you and tell you all about the history of the home, the family, the artwork here. Do you have any final thoughts before we end the episode?
Just that this place is for you. Sarah Allis left this home to the people of Milwaukee in 1945, and her goal was to educate, delight, and inspire. So this was a gift to the people of Milwaukee. We want everyone to come here and know that this is your home as much as it was Sarah's.
Absolutely. And while we know that these pieces look great on camera, they look even better in person. So again, an open invitation for you to come and visit. We'd love to see you. And again, thank you so much for listening to the first episode of Treasures from the Allis. Hopefully we will see you again. Bye.